Resuming debate, reprise de débat. The honourable member for St. John's East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and let me first begin by saying that I will be splitting my time with the member for Vaughan Woodbridge. I am pleased to have the opportunity today to speak in favour of Bill C-79, an act to implement the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership between Canada and Australia, Brunei, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam. The CPTPP, as this historic trade agreement is now known, will benefit Canadians from coast to coast to coast and across all sectors of our economy. Through the CPTPP, our government is demonstrating our commitment to growing our economy and strengthening the middle class by expanding and diversifying Canada's trade and investment relations. Canada is a nation built on trade, and as a medium-sized economy, trade is fundamental to our continued prosperity and economic growth. While Asia has more than doubled in importance as a destination for Canadian goods and services since the turn of the century, Canada has lost market share to our competitors that have pursued closer integration with the region's fastest-growing economies. The CPTPP will help remedy this. It will be the cornerstone agreement for Canada to diversify our trade and investment towards Asia and enhance our export presence in the region. The 11 CPTPP members represent a total of 495 million consumers and 13.5% of global GDP. Canada's exports to our CPTPP partners totaled nearly $27 billion in 2017. The CPTPP will provide Canadians with the tremendous opportunities to continue to expand their business in Asia. Trade has long been a powerful engine that drives Canadian economy. Canadian jobs and prosperity depend heavily on our connectivity with other countries around the world. In fact, 1 in 5 jobs in Canada is related to exports, while Canadian exports amount to nearly 1/3 of Canada's GDP. Opening borders to trade and investment and diversifying our trade partners has the potential to boost Canada's wealth and make us less vulnerable to changing conditions in any one market. Canadian small and medium-sized enterprises in particular are looking for our government to open up new markets for potential exports, and the CPTPP will help us deliver on this task. Implementing and ratifying this trade agreement will strengthen our economic ties with the 10 other CPTPP members, which includes 7 new free trade agreement partners: Australia, Brunei, Japan, Malaysia, New Zealand, Singapore, and Vietnam. Madam Speaker, once the CPTPP enters into force, Canada will have preferential access to 51 different countries through 14 trade agreements representing nearly 1.5 billion consumers and over 60% of the global economy. 60%, Madam Speaker. The CPTPP is projected to boost Canada's GDP by $4.2 billion over the long term, and that growth will be driven by increased exports of goods and services and increases in investment. This, Madam Speaker, means more jobs and more prosperity for Canadians. For trade in goods, the CPTPP will help Canadian businesses increase their sales and profits by virtually eliminating all tariffs, most of which will be eliminated upon entry into force of the agreement, and establishing mechanisms to address non-tariff barriers to create more predictable and transparent trading conditions. The CPTPP will allow Canadian companies to level the playing field with competitors that currently enjoy preferential access to key markets like Japan, Malaysia, and Vietnam, while gaining a competitive advantage over other countries that currently don't have the same level of access. It will help Canadian companies to establish customer relationships, networks, and other joint partnerships, and offer Canada with the opportunity to further integrate with global supply chains. Opening up new markets for our products means that Canada will be at an advantage to export more agriculture and agri-food, fish and seafood, industrial machinery, and everything in between. In Newfoundland and Labrador, Madam Speaker, this means new markets or reduced tariffs not only for our fish, seafood, metals, minerals, and forestry products, but also for the specialized industrial products our industry has pioneered in the offshore. Opening up new markets for our fish and seafood industry means more opportunities for shrimp, salmon, halibut, lobster, clams, mussels, and snow crab, supporting close to 76,000 Canadian jobs based mostly in rural and coastal communities like mine, to help expand the over $85 million in regional trade that we've enjoyed over the past 2 years. In the case of metals and minerals, it means expanded market share for the petroleum and iron ore products sold from my province to Asia. And opening up new markets for our manufacturing sector means Newfoundland companies in the aerospace and marine technology sectors like Kraken Robotics, PAL Aerospace, Virtual Marine, Subsea Imaging, and others in our ocean supercluster will have new opportunities to compete fairly in the Trans-Pacific region. Madam Speaker, I have mentioned just a few portions of Canada's vibrant economy, and there are many more sectors whose exporters will benefit from the CPTPP. Securing preferential access to these markets means that almost all Canadian products can be exported to our new partners without facing tariffs. Upon full implementation of this agreement, 99% of tariff lines of CPTPP parties will become duty-free, covering 98% of Canada's current total exports to these markets. The benefits of the CPTPP don't stop there, however, Madam Speaker. In addition to addressing traditional trade policy issues like tariffs and technical barriers to trade, the CPTPP also covers trade and services, investment, intellectual property, government procurement, and state-owned enterprises. Companies in my riding and ridings all across the country will have access to market share to Asia-Pacific countries that wouldn't exist for countries that haven't joined the agreement. These parts of the agreement serve to provide Canadian companies, service providers, and investors alike with transparency, predictability, and certainty in their access to CPTPP markets. For example, the national treatment and most favored nations provisions, combined with a ratchet mechanism, means that Canadian service providers and investors have access to CPTPP markets, and these will improve over time as they take steps towards greater liberalization, including when these other partners complete free trade agreement negotiations with other countries around the world. It will mean that CPTPP will not only open up new markets for Canada today, but that our access will improve in the future and over time. This is complemented by the commitments made on government procurement in the CPTPP, which establish fair, open, and transparent rules for competitive procurement markets. Canadian business will enjoy equal treatment vis-à-vis domestic suppliers when bidding for government contracts in CPTPP markets. As a result, Canadian suppliers will benefit from new opportunities in markets such as Australia, Brunei, Malaysia, and Vietnam, while gaining expanded government procurement access within existing FTA partners like Chile and Peru. Madam Speaker, I think it is now clearer than ever that the CPTPP is a big deal for Canadian businesses and workers. We're making good in our commitment to create opportunities for small and medium enterprises and generate economic growth that will benefit all Canadians. This agreement tears down barriers and builds a bridge across the Pacific for Canadian exporters of goods and services. With the CPTPP, Canada will send a clear signal to the world that it stands firm in its support for the free, rules-based international trading system. In the wake of rising protectionism and sentiments like that around the world, the ratification of the CPTPP will not just secure economic benefits for us today, but also solidify our role in the economic architecture of Asia in the future. When Canadian companies are given the opportunity to compete on a level playing field, they win. This agreement extends our playing field to 60% of the global economy. That's the potential for a lot of wins for companies, innovators, those working in trade-related industries, the service sector supporting those industries, those looking to invest in Canada, and Canadian companies looking for capital to expand their businesses. For these reasons, our government is committed to ratifying and bringing the CPTPP into force, and it is why I encourage honourable members of this House to support the bill before us today. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions and comments? Questions et commentaires. L'honorable député de Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Écoutez, je suis vraiment très inquiète de l'impact de cet accord sur le comté que je représente. Dans Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte, nous avons plus de 2000 fermes. La gestion de l'offre est un pilier de notre économie. Ce n'est pas juste pour les producteurs laitiers, mais c'est pour les entreprises de transformation, les écoles, les laboratoires, les centres de recherche. Même, écoutez, il y a un propriétaire d'un magasin de vêtements du centre-ville qui me disait que la moitié de ses clients étaient des gens qui travaillaient dans des secteurs de la gestion de l'offre. Donc, c'est l'ensemble de l'économie de mon comté qui est qui est touché par chaque pourcentage qu'on laisse aller. Et dans le cas de cet accord, c'est plus de 3 qu'on laisse aller juste dans le secteur laitier. Ça va avoir un impact direct. Bien, moi, la question que je pose à mon collègue, qu'est-ce que je réponds à ces gens qui vont perdre leur ferme, qui vont perdre leurs emplois avec de tels accords internationaux?
The honourable member for St. John's East.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je commencerai à dire qu'il ne faut pas dire aux gens dans votre circonscription qu'ils vont perdre leur ferme ou leurs emplois, parce que ce n'est pas vrai. Il y a des enjeux, bien sûr, en entrer dans n'importe quel contrat avec des autres pays. Mais en ce cas-là, le nom du Canada partout au monde pour nos produits fermiers, pour nos produits agricoles, c'est vraiment haut. Et je pense que toutes les personnes qui travaillent aux fermes au Canada seront fiers de cette opportunité à vendre nos produits partout au monde. Merci.
Questions and comments. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Children, Families and Social Development.
You know, I've been listening to some of the questions from across the way, in particular from the NDP, and I got to tell you that I think the only way to get the New Democrats on side for the trade deal is to threaten to rip it up, and then they go out of their way to protect it. But until then, they're opposed to it. And I'm wondering if it's not just a perspective you get in Ontario when the New Democrats were adamantly opposed to NAFTA, in particular in the auto sector, and now all of a sudden think it's the only thing that's going to save the auto sector. If there's a similar response from the part of country you're from, are you hearing that CETA and the trade deals with Asia are a threat to a way of life, but now need to be protected in order to protect that way of life?
I won't let the member know what I'm hearing, but I would ask the member to address the questions to the speaker and not to the individual member. The honourable member for St. John's East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank the honourable member for his question. Certainly in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, most companies, as my honourable colleague from Avalon has just previously indicated, enjoy the fact of improved access to Europe and to the United States for our fisheries products, for our petrochemical products, for our mining resources. And it's important to note that these industries support good-paying, unionized middle-class jobs. And the families of the workers and the support services and the additional enterprise that's undertaken in each of these communities where workers in the fishery sector or the mining sector or the oil and gas sector work. It's a pillar of our economy now, that people would have access to international markets. So it's just not right to engage in the same type of fear-mongering that the New Democrats are engaging in now, as she'd mentioned with respect to farms. People on farms should be excited about an opportunity to sell our farming goods and our agricultural products internationally, because Canada has the highest standards in the world for our products. We have a great brand, and it's a great opportunity for Canada to leverage its value, just as Canadian fishers are learning now. Brand Canada means a premium for their products overseas, and we'll find that the same is true for our farming products. Thank you.
On a le temps pour une brève question. L'honorable député de Hochelaga.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Le gouvernement nous dit que pour eux, ils trouvent ça important que dans les discussions sur l'ALENA, les négociations sur l'ALENA, il y ait des chapitres sur l'égalité des sexes, l'équité entre les sexes et des chapitres sur les Autochtones. Pourtant, dans l'accord qu'on est en train de discuter, l'accord transpacifique, il n'y en a pas. Alors, pourquoi est-ce que c'est important pour les discussions sur l'ALENA, mais pas sur celles sur l'accord transpacifique?
Answer from the member from St. John's East.
I've also heard the commentary earlier from the Parliamentary Secretary, Madam Speaker, and I do thank my colleague for the question, but that there are protections in place, either in the agreement itself or in the side letters which each of the individual states, which protect Indigenous rights, which protect women's rights in the labor force, and it's a progressive deal. That's why the name of the deal was changed from the Trans-Pacific Partnership to the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership, to acknowledge that these changes were made in the negotiating table, and I believe that she should be happy and not fearful of the outcome. Thank you.